Hello, that was Andantino by Matteo Carcassi. That's on page 87 in lesson 16 of the beginning book, and it deals with playing two notes at the same time. We haven't done that yet. In addition to that objective, it's also focusing more on the pedal notes that we learned in the last lesson. So it's a short piece. There's only 8 measures of material. The last 4 measures just repeat the first 4. It's very, very easy, and so it can be learned quite quickly. Okay, so let me go ahead and read what I have written on the top of the page. In Andantino below, there are 3 parts. The melody, stems up, the bass, played with the melody, and the pedal note, the open G or D string, played at the second half of each beat. The melody is always the most important part and should be played with that understanding. Make sure the melody is slightly louder than the other parts and give attention to the quality of the sound you give it. The pedal should sound more like a drone supporting the melody than actually a part of the melody. You'll have to use lots of control, especially with the thumb, when playing these pedal notes to accomplish this. Okay, so let me separate the 3 parts. I'll just play the first 4 measures. Here's the melody. All right, now I'll add the bass. The pedal. Okay, putting all 3 parts together, you get perspective. That pedal really helps again to just bring some continuity and some texture and some energy into this. All right, let's go ahead and walk through this. Here's the first chord position. And our thumb is playing the bass on the 4th string, our middle finger is playing the 2nd string, and our index finger is playing the pedal on the 3rd. All right, so it's this. Okay, the next 2 beats, pretty demanding here, pretty darn hard. There's just open strings. Okay, so those 2 together. Okay, now, all kidding aside, playing those open strings, you don't want to be complacent. You want to be thinking and preparing for the next measure, which is an F on the 4th string played with your 3rd finger and the D on the 2nd string. You must use these 2 fingers because the chord that follows this is that same chord we had in measure 1 beginning, and we need to use our 1st and 2nd finger. It's all about preparation here. All right, so you're playing the same exact strings. And then again, while you're playing this, you are preparing for that chord that we had in measure 1. All right, that should be pretty easy. Okay, so let me play both of these measures together. Open, but I'm preparing my 3rd and 4th finger. All right, while I'm playing this, I'm also preparing for the next measure, which is a C on the 5th string. The melody is now on the 1st string, so be aware of that. You have to drop that middle finger a little bit. We're still playing with our middle finger. And the pedal's still on the 3rd string. So now we're skipping strings. We have our thumb on the 5th, our index finger on the 3rd, and our middle finger on the 1st. So there's a little bit of a spread there. All right, so here's the first half of measure 3. Okay, now next chord, we're back to the 4th string bass. Melody is still on the 1st string, F natural. Okay, that again. Okay, now we have next measure, we have a 6th string bass. Melody's back on the 2nd string. And then together, the C, both C's. 5th string C, 2nd string C. Let me play measures 3 and 4 again. Okay, all 4 measures. All right, and then that line is repeated. When we get to the 3rd line, it's identical to the 1st line. All right, so all we have left is the 2nd line, these 4 measures. The 2 notes that we're playing together is the melody along with harmony to that melody. This. Okay, so the harmony and the melody should be equal. It's like a duet. So make sure that you're listening and you get a really nice balance, and make sure that you're giving attention to both notes. So supporting the melody and the harmony are just pedal notes played with the thumb. This could be problematic because the thumb is fairly strong, and it'd be very, very easy to have that pedal dominate the texture. So you want to really listen to this. That's super easy to do. That pedal is way, way too loud. So you want to really listen to your playing and bring that back so it is just, the volume is just below the melody and the harmony. All right, so let's jump into this. Measure 5. We're going to be playing the 1st string with our middle finger, and the 2nd string, the harmony, with our index finger, and the thumb will be playing the 3rd string. Okay, so here's our 1st chord in the left hand, thumb on the pedal. Okay, and as you're playing this, it would probably be beneficial just to listen, not just for the balance between the pedal and the melody and harmony, but if you just listen to that melody and the harmony together, is it balanced? Is the color, the timbre, the same? The quality of the sound, is it the same? That's what you want to listen for. All right, so let's try this again. 2nd half of measure 5. This is our chord. We want to use our 4th finger on this 2nd string D. We'll need it for the next measure. Okay, so here's a chord, still playing the same strings. Okay, so measure 5, all of it. Now, next measure. This is why we're using our pinky, our 4th finger on this D. We're laying down a C sharp and then the open E against it. And that's so much easier to do if we have our pinky down. If I had my 3rd finger here, that would be very awkward and there would be a lot of tension in my hand. So, again. Laying down the 2nd finger on C sharp. And then we're going right back to the chord that we had in the 2nd half of the previous measure. Okay, all of this. All right, next measure. Notice the C natural in parentheses. It's a courtesy reminder that it is natural. We just played a C sharp in the previous measure, but that was just for that measure. So we're back to a C natural, and then we have an F sharp in the melody. And the pedal is now on the 4th string D. So this is it. Okay, Okay, and then we lay our pinky down on G. Okay, then we're going, next measure, I'm just going to go on back to that same chord that we played in the previous measure. And then we lay our pinky back down on the G again. This time we're adding 6-string G. Okay, let me go back to measure 7 again, the second half of the second line. So our third finger's on F sharp, first finger is on C natural, fourth finger, first string G, back to this, and back to this. Okay, so let me play all of the second line. And that's it. We jump to the third line, which, as I said, is the same as the first line. And then those two lines are repeated. So the second and third line are repeated. Notice the repeat sign at the very end, and then the facing repeat sign at measure 5. And that's the whole piece. Very little to it. Okay, because this little piece is short and pretty straightforward, technically pretty easy, this allows you to really invest your time instead of worrying about technique, either left-hand chords or right-hand, is to allow yourself to listen. This is the most important thing to do with this. When you're playing 2 notes and you're controlling 3 parts, is to listen. Your technique should be responding to what you hear, so your listening comes first. Always you're hearing first, and then you're trying to execute what you're hearing. Okay, and knowing that there's 3 parts, that's what you're listening for. Knowing that you want a good quality of sound when you're playing, that's what you're listening for. That's what makes this music. Okay, that's what makes this fun to play as well, because there's more to this than just the technique. Okay, have fun with this. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching.